My name is Bim. It's nice to see a new face. Maybe you do stand a chance of getting out of here. Two months ago, I set out to create a playable demonstration of my game Entangled. This is a story of passion and obsession and hours of thankless work in pursuit of creation. My name is Bim, and this is my unfinished story about creating an independent puzzle platformer I call Entangled. It's Christmas time in Canada, and Entangled's nothing more than a movement script and a few bug-riddled mechanics. I can feel the pressure mounting inside of me, and one Christmas dinner question stands out to me. Will I be able to play your game? At this point, I've spent months with no visible product, no flashy concept art, and no playable levels to put my game concept to the test. It was time for me to make a playable product. It was time for me to make a plan. Little did I know, in 2 months' time, I would have implemented 67 new unique features and completed almost 200 updates and bug fixes. My scope will be small. I'm aiming to create 5 separate puzzles, each demonstrating a unique way of interacting with the entanglement game mechanic. Here's how the entanglement mechanic works. The player can shoot a free-moving object with their entanglement gun. Doing this with multiple objects will quantumly entangle each object to the others. So as you can see, the object on the right cannot fall because the object on the left is currently grounded. The object on the left can't keep moving to the right because the object on the right is blocked in that direction. I hope this example made it clear how entanglement works. If you want to play around with it, feel free to go check out the link in the description below. The puzzles I made all exist inside the same level, which in my mind dictates the requirement of these 3 features. The first requirement is an object manager that tracks all the objects inside the game level. Its job is to correctly reset objects when the player dies or spawns in. The second feature I'm adding is checkpoints. Because this entire demo is one level, the player requires a way of saving their progress. Checkpoints are placed at the end of each puzzle so that the player is never forced to redo that puzzle. The third feature is a level manager that is responsible for controlling both the object manager and the checkpoint manager. Later on, this is going to be expanded to read and write to local files, allowing players to save their progress. Oh, and one last thing. I'm also adding collectibles to create incentive to solve the puzzles. At this point, I have successfully created a level with 5 puzzles inside of it and 5 checkpoints. But the puzzles are lacking in creativity and the players lacking ways of interacting with the world that were interesting anyways. So I'm pushing the scope of the character movement to include wall sliding and wall jumping, which I don't regret in the slightest. The character is now much more fun to move around with, and the platforming elements have a lot more variety. While in the mood for creating fun game interactions, I added in a Mega Man-like cannon blast that allows the player to push objects, adding another use to the character's primary ability. At this moment, I now realize that I have a large problem on my hands. I can't design new levels until I figure out my rule set. I needed to settle on abilities and movement fast, if I ever wanted to get this demo done anyways. So I spent the day writing out various rule sets for the game and then testing out their consequences on hand-drawn levels. A result of this was the discovery of the third ability I call Rewind. Rewind gave the player a way to completely reset objects in a small radius around them. This played out wonderfully in my paper testing puzzles and opened up a massive amount of opportunity for new level designs. The mechanic both empowered the player to have fine-tuned controls of the puzzle, but also limited the distance at which it could be used. And actions plus consequences is a fun game, I think. I realize now that my original 3-week time frame was not in reach, and for good reason. The more tools and core systems that I flesh out, the more potential I see in this demo. So I'm completely scrapping the demo level I have been working on. I'm setting my sights on a loftier goal, a full vertical slice of the game experience. That means music, sound effects, visual effects, minor story elements, dialogue, tutorials, and a user interface. So I started to work on creating an interim jump noise, a shoot noise, a collect noise, a rewind noise, and, from Michael, a victory noise. As you can see, I've also gone ahead and created visuals to go along with each of these sounds. I'm also going to create visuals for respawning, checkpoint capturing, and finally, wall sliding. Even after adding in all this juice, it still felt pretty static, so I added in platforms that could move automatically, and elastically moving platforms that could be manipulated by the player. The demo was finally starting to take shape. I had some friends playtest the game, and at this point, they absolutely destroyed it. Those assholes! For your pleasure, I have made a short montage of game-breaking bugs that have since haunted my dreams. I am getting some serious deja vu.
Much better.
After squashing a laundry list of bugs, the game, mechanically speaking, started to feel a lot more like a game. What it is missing at this point is purpose. Something that will give motivation to the player to actually move forwards in the game. Aside from, fun gameplay. Collectibles are in the game, but they're nothing more than bragging rights. I want story. I just want to be in my own game. Finally, I've built myself a new home, a digital space entirely made for me. But how will players interact with me in my new home? I need a new system that can easily play sounds, visual effects, and control the camera. I knew that this game scope was too large for me to hastily make a one-off script for the interactions. I needed a solution that was both modular and expandable. Online solutions exist, such as feedbacks, which essentially allows you to build a feedback that plays sounds, animations, and other useful behaviors that can be assigned and called in one invocation. So I'm going to do what any sane programmer would do: save my money and design my own interaction system. The way it will work is pretty straightforward, I think. You will be able to create interaction objects that contain a list of events. Events are scripts that perform some simple action and return when they've completed that action. So, for example, I can play a camera event, a sound event, a canvas event, and a text event, all from the same single interaction. The simplicity of the event objects is what I like the most. I can construct seemingly complicated interactions by using any combination of the many simple events I've already made. It gets even better with the interaction sequencer, which allows me to drag and drop interactions to be played in an order. Check it out. The event objects are very easily expanded and can be used with virtually any other Unity asset tool, such as Cinemachine. This can be set to automatic or manual, so you can create a cinematic experience or an interactive one. If this sounds like something you'd want, I've made the source code available for the interaction system on my Patreon. Supporters will gain access to this tool and future tools that I'll make for Entangled and future projects. The link is in the description below. Mechanically speaking, the demo was done. But it was time for me to start spending some time making the user experience look like I put just a little bit of effort into it. Firstly, I'm changing up the game visuals to have more atmosphere through the use of lighting and a new color palette. This is the final touch that the tree integration needs to make it feel like it fits. With the tree integrated, I want to improve the way that I communicate entanglement. Recently, I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV and thought that the threat gained effect was pretty nifty at communicating a connection. This moving art gave me the idea for an animation that demonstrates the connection between each entanglement object. I like this effect because it will remind you of entangled objects off screen and demonstrates the memory of the entanglement order, which will become relevant in the future iterations of this game. Something else this demo needs is a way to go between one checkpoint and another. I had already added a button into the game that lets you return to your last checkpoint, but what I really want is an interactive map that lets you drag around and select which checkpoint you'd like to teleport to. Once again, I'm going to take inspiration from Final Fantasy XIV. I'm using the Ethernet map as my guide, so you can navigate the level and click on the checkpoint you want to teleport to. I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. I am making the buttons on the map spawn in dynamically too, so I never have to update the button locations to match the checkpoints on the map. Obviously, at this point, I seem to be missing something pretty basic. The pause menu. I made some UI art and slapped the menu together, and then created a simple UI manager that let you navigate through the different interfaces. Right now, these buttons can't do much, since I didn't yet have a loading system, and I also didn't have a main menu, so that's what I'm going to be working on next. To be able to load into and out of the level without losing any of the player's progress is something I just want. Even though this is a demo that would be played through in about one sitting, having a save system is always a job that would need to be done. And besides, I've already added so many quality of life features, it would be strange just to leave something as basic as this one out, right? I just made two different data types, player data and level data, and serialized them onto disk. With a quick update to the level manager, I can now read the disk when a level is loaded to see if the current player has a saved data, and load it if they did. Once I'm done with the save systems, I can work on the main menu screen, reusing the buttons I had used on the pause menu. The main menu is pretty straightforward to make, so I'm adding credits to display all the people who helped me make the version of the game possible. I'm going to use the interaction sequencer that I made to throw together something really quickly for the introduction to the main menu. Let's see how it went. Well, I think I'm done here, but wait. I haven't put any music into the game yet other than the main menu. It was gonna take a few more days, but I feel like it will be better in the long run. Not to mention, it lets me play with audio snapshots that you can use to do cool effects like this. Finally, I think I'm done. There are just a few more bugs to fix and this video to make. It's a relief. This demo is a lot more than I originally imagined it to be. It has interesting puzzles, contains minor story elements, and functionally it has a lot of the things you'd expect to see in a real game. So I am a little proud of myself for taking the project this far. This never would have been possible without all my playtesters and Michael and Elisa, so thank you so much, you guys. I'd like to make another big shout out to my friend Gary, who thoroughly ravaged my game's user experience and gameplay. So thanks for that, Gary. You gave me a really clear direction on what I need to work on next. If you'd like to join Gary in ravaging my hard work, I've left a link in the description to my itch.io page where Entangled's being hosted. Feel free to leave your feedback in the comments below. Just knowing someone's interacted with my work honestly gives me so much motivation. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to make Entangled a reality, liking this video and subscribing to my channel would actually do wonders to help make that happen. I have also started working on a Steam page that should be up shortly after this video releases, hoping that Steam actually allows me to put myself on the marketplace. I'll be sure to link it in the comments below and add it to the description once it's available. And that's it. I have nothing else to say. Maybe if I get some patrons, this will be the part of the video I dedicate to thanking them all. But for now, skedaddle.